Hi you guys, welcome back to Creatively Crafted Life. My name is Melanie and this is 12 days of Christmas here on my channel, and today we are going to be making a Christmas card. So I have a panel here that I have done a mock-up for just to show you what I'm going to be talking about and how we're going to turn this into a card. So this technique's been around for like forever, but I've actually never done it up until now. It's one of those things that I've always had in the back of my mind I wanted to try, but just never seemed to get around to it. And it's called iris folding. And the idea behind it is that you layer paper in a pattern that forms an iris, like an iris of a camera. And the backside's not pretty. And I'm not an expert at this, so there may be tips and tricks and techniques and everything that can make this go a little bit better. But overall, I'm very pleased with the results on the front. So now I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about the paper patterns that I chose and why I chose them, and then I will talk about how we go about doing this. So I chose 3 different greens. As you can tell, this is a Christmas tree or an evergreen tree. And I chose 3 different greens from 3 different paper pads, 6x6 paper pads. And I did that deliberately. I think if I used the same paper pad, I would have the same color. So even though I had different patterns, I'd have the same color. And I don't think you would see the effect of this as clearly as using varying shades. Does that make sense? So the papers that I used or will be using was a piece of paper from 'Tis the Season. This was an LA Studio paper pack. You've seen this one already, Farmhouse Christmas, and also from Echo Park, I pulled one out of a Gingerbread Christmas. So I'm not saying I'm going to use these exact same ones for the next one, but I'm using one paper from each of the 3. So you do need one 6x6 paper from each. Whatever patterns you want. I went with solid because I like that look for the image that I'm folding. So the 3 papers that I'm going to be using, it's got this swirl pattern. This is from the Gingerbread Christmas. This is just a solid olive green. This is from Farmhouse Christmas, and then from 'Tis the Season, I'm using the same Fa La La paper. When I first did this, I cut 6 strips, and I ended up with about 2 strips left over for each, so I don't think I need 6. I'm going to try 4 and we'll see where we end up. So I'm going to cut 3/4 inch strips first, and then I'm going to score each strip lengthwise at a 1/2 inch. So I'll have a strip that looks like this. So this is 3/4 inch wide, and then I scored it at a 1/2 inch or a 1/4 inch, whichever way you want to look at it. And then I folded it along the fold line, gave it a good crease. So you should end up with 4 strips of each of these. Let me go do that and come back. So now that I've got my piles of folded strips, you want to keep them separated because it's important. We're going to need to put these in place in a specific order. So you want to keep the 3 different patterns in separate groups. When I did this one, I just did it on a plain white panel, but I thought it would be fun for this one to use a piece of pattern paper. So I have this white board plank paper from Farmhouse Christmas, and this is trimmed down to 4 by 5 1/4 so that we can mat this on top of a card base with a small border. I am using a Christmas tree from Sizzix, and it comes with multiple sizes of trees. I am using the second largest one, and what we're going to do is just center this on the panel. You probably apply a little bit of washi tape and run this through the die cut machine. So that is what I'm going to do right now. Okay, I've got that trimmed out. We want to keep the negative for our card and for the next step, and the die cut image, of course, you can use for whatever. We just don't need it for this card. Now you are going to need some printer paper or scrap paper that you can draw on, and a ruler and a pen. You may want to have 2 pens in different colors, and I'll show you why in the next step. Okay, we're going to take the panel that we just die cut out of and add a little bit of washi tape to the top, but we want to add it on the back side so that we can apply this to our printer paper. And we're going to take one of the markers. I'm going to use green and we are going to trace all around the image just like a stencil. And part of the reason why I flipped it over was that if you accidentally slip with your pen, you will be marking up the back side of the paper and not the front side. Okay, so let's take this off. We will need this later, but you can put it aside for now. When you have a shape like this and you're trying to come up with a pattern, I found it was easier to convert it to its basic shape in order to do the measurements. And so this is effectively a triangle. So I'm going to take a black pen and I am going to just along the base of the tree draw a line, and I'm going to extend way past the image. Okay, then we're going to go this way, and we are going to now form the angle going up. And there's a couple ways you can do this. One, you can line up the points of the tree and draw a line, or you could align the tip of the tree and go all the way out. I did this the first time, so the pattern that I showed you, I did the long way. I'm going to do the more narrow way now so you can see what it does, or what kind of difference it makes. So in this case, I'm just going to take the two outermost points, align them up, and extend this down to the bottom line. Okay, and we're going to do the same on the other side, where I'm going to take the two outermost points, align them up with the ruler, and then go out like so. Now, for ease of demonstration, I'm going to switch to a third color, but you can continue to use this color if you are making your own template. And what we're going to do is we are going to mark a 1/2 inch in. So I've just got this at the 6 mark, so I'm going to mark it at 5.5. And then we're going to do the same on this side. Mark it at a 1/2 inch and a 1/2 inch. Okay, so now I've got 3 points. I've got 3 points that are a 1/2 inch off. So now what we're going to do is we are going to connect those points. Like so. We're going to do the same thing again. But this time we're going to follow the red line. So we're ignoring the black line now. We're going to go a 1/2 inch from that point that we just created. Rotate, do the exact same thing. We're going a 1/2 inch along the red line. And a 1/2 inch along the red line. And we're now going to connect those points. If I can draw a line, a decent line. Okay, now I am going to start numbering these just to kind of keep track of things. So this was number 1, this was number 2, number 3. Here is number 4. This is number 5, and this is number 6. Okay, so we're going to repeat again. 1/2 inch. Rotate. 1/2 inch. And we're always following the last line that we did, so we are progressively making smaller and smaller triangles. Okay, so That was 6. This is 7. Oh, I forgot a line. See how easy it is to get yourself all confused? It's because I did it in the wrong order. Save yourself some headache and do them in the same order. 8 and 9. Okay. Let's go again. 10. Being half an inch. Half an inch. Half an inch. Let's do it in the right order just to make things easier. That's 10. That's 11. That's 12. And you're going to continue to do this until you can't go a half inch in anymore. And then I will show you what the next step is. Okay, so this is what my pattern looks like. For this 19, it's a little bit wider than half an inch here, but I can't really make it work going this way. So for this center piece, we may need to pull a bit of scrap that's larger than half an inch, but we'll see how that works out when we get there. Okay, now we're going to take our panel and we're going to realign it back with the green outline in my case. Okay, I'm going to add some washi. And actually, I'm going to change where the washi is because this is going to end up causing issues when I try to tape things down. So let's align it on the edge. Okay, so now take your pattern papers and figure out what order you want them in. You are going to need some tape, just regular tape. And we're going to start on number 1, which is this one here, and is barely peeking out through the side. So that's fine. What will end up happening is that if you've got little scraps and stuff like that, as you go along, you can use them for smaller bits. You just have to, you want to use smaller scraps where you can, I guess, or trim down the bigger pieces so that you have enough for later on. Now, I've made this card a couple times in the effort of, you know, learning how to do this and not screwing up every time. So I do have a little piece of scrap that I'm just going to use there. I am going to take some tape, and you do have to be careful for these outer layers that you don't, you know, encroach into the intersection or extend off the edge of the card. Now, obviously, off the edge of the card is easy enough to trim once we're done, but in the meantime. Okay, so that is number 1. Number 2 is going to be this really long piece here, and you can see it only overlaps at the teeniest points along the way. And I want to use my dark green for that one. So the fold always goes along the edge, and we need it to start here. That's where the first bit of number 2 shows up, and it goes all the way up to here. So we're going to trim off the extra, and we'll be able to use that when the rows get to be a little bit smaller. Okay, tape that down. A little bit extra here. I'm just going to trim that off and tape that one down. Okay, number 3 is going to be this piece here. So it does come through quite a bit near the bottom. So we need the next piece colored, which is this one. And we're going to line that up. So we've got a little bit of extra. Take that off and tape it down. Now this is going to get bulky, I'm not going to lie, but we're going to attach this to a card base with foam panel or with foam tape so that the bulk gets disguised, and I think it'll look cool when it's all said and done. If you find the middle pieces of some of the larger folded pieces stick up too much, just apply a little bit of tape on that. We do want to minimize bulk as much as possible, but you know, you do what you can. Okay, let's move on to number 4. Again, we've got lots of extra, so we're going to trim that off. Put that aside. Maybe we'll use it later on. Align it with our template. Apply some tape. Okay, if you get lost and you're not sure what's going on, you can always flip this over and see where the pattern is. But I found that the easiest thing to do was whatever the next strip is, it tells you what the color is that you need to use. So I didn't get too confused that way. The hardest part for me was drawing the template. I think I screwed that up a few times. Also, I've never done this before, so it was like just trying to figure out exactly how this worked. So what you'll notice is that my sample will turn out quite a bit different than this one, and that's okay, right? Creativity, maybe I'll end up liking it the way I did it. Okay, I'm going to speed up through the rest of this. You just continue to go through these one strip at a time, just layering them over top of each other, trimming off any extra, and when I get to the center, I'll show you what I'm going to do for that. Okay, so now I'm down to the center piece, and like I mentioned, this is not going to fit with the folded piece, so I'm just going to take a scrap piece of the Fa La La, and I just want to make sure that it's going in the same direction, which would be like that. And I'm just going to do this so that it covers the center. I believe some people historically will pick like a brighter color or something like that, or a metallic, something to really highlight the center. But in this case, because I'm got a Christmas tree, I'd rather keep it a little bit more, you know, less crazy. Okay, and that is what the tree looks like. Oops, I made one mistake way back here. Okay, and that is what the tree looks like. I will show you the original one. Again, I did a wider base. This one was narrower. And I just changed up the patterns a little bit. This is on pattern paper. This is on just plain cardstock. So now that we have this done, let's turn these into cards. Okay, so I have my card base here, standard A2 size card from the Christmas farmhouse. I trimmed out a 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 panel, which will give a very small border for my 4 by 5 1/2. No, 4 by 5 1/4 card panel. So we're just gonna affix that to the front. This should still leave a tiny white border. So lots of matting, or framing if you will. Okay, so now on our panels, we're going to add some foam tape wherever there isn't a ton of bulk. So obviously we're not going to put any foam tape in the center because that's where it is the bulkiest. That should do it. So let's get this adhered to the card panel. Now, because I don't have any foam adhesive down here in the bottom, I am going to apply some liquid glue both in the high spot and down here, just for some added security. Make sure the card is opening in the right direction. And let's see if we can get this somewhat centered, huh? That. Okay, it needs a little jazzing up. that'll be the next step. Okay, so Christmas tree of course needs a star. I have a bunch of little gold stars punched out of scrap, so I think we're going to add that to the top. I thought it'd be kind of fun to add a heart punched out of the same paper that we used for the border. And so let's punch out one of those, and I'm thinking maybe we can tuck it somewhere near the center. I think that's kind of cute. Like so. And then I have some of these red pearls. I thought a few of those we could add, and of course a sentiment from the Tim Holtz Small Chat Occasions. So let me get gluing this down and I will show you the final cards. Okay, so here are the completed cards. This is the one that I did with you with the longer pieces. And because there's so much of this solid, it reads very solid paper, I added the 3 pearls on there. Again, very simple, but this one's even more simple. But I think because of the type of patterns I used on this one, it didn't need the red pearls, so I opted to leave them off. Anyways, let me know what you think. Pearls or no pearls below. Thanks so much for sticking around, and until next time, happy crafting.